Hey everybody, Arch here in the Nice Guy shop. And so I did go ahead and got my blue light glasses on. I did go ahead and grab another Line 2, ST Dupont Line 2. This is the standard size. These are both contemporary offerings. Um, Learned a couple things, thought I could kind of grow on screen again. I have been carrying this one every day since for about a week now. One of the reasons I wanted to go ahead and do this video now is because it's funny, I'm a little bit shadowed because this is my clean workbench, but it is what it is. This is where I'm pointing at where I'm gonna be later, so it just is what it is. Not the best place in my shop, but it's where we are. Um, but I wanted to go ahead and do this video now because I also went ahead and purchased a vintage Line 1 that is coming to me from eBay. And I was like, I want to kind of have like a more fresh perspective. I have no notes, I have no guidelines. I was just going to go ahead and go off the cuff, hopefully recall some of the things that I said in the last video that may have been assumptions. I also did put together, I think since I did that, yeah, surely since I did that video, a super long essay on like some of the differences in manufacturing that may have gone on in the last 10 years. And this will be kind of some information for me to reflect on. And like I said, we'll just kind of grow together. So hopefully if you guys catch anything that I say here that's incorrect, I would love it if that made it into the comments. So again, this video is purely for like the people on Earth who are interested in these ST DuPont, the high-end lighters. There's such a huge range of lighters from the company called ST DuPont, which I can't remember the company that owns them. It's a corporation out of Hong Kong that bought ST DuPont in 1987, as far as I can tell. I could be wrong about that too, but that's what I kind of saw. But yeah, the last video, the first and only other video I did on this small was simply an unboxing and an initial impressions video. And I have to say, before I go down to the tabletop, as an everyday carry guy who, I would say like for me, I'm into like functional tools that are kind of like also art. So love my high-end knives, fixed and folding knives, getting more and more into higher end watches. I'd say high-end watches, all things considered, you know. And then I love a good pen, I don't have a huge collection of pens. I don't consider myself a pen enthusiast, but I've got 7 or 8 nice machined titanium pens because that's kind of my jam. Love a good flashlight. I wouldn't consider like, I'm in groups of people who are, online who are like flashlight enthusiasts or whatever, and they're fucking just, I'm not even close. Sorry about the F-bomb there. I'm not even close to an enthusiast when I look at those guys. But I'm an everyday carry guy, and I like high end stuff. And I gotta say, or for me at least, I'm not rocking a Michael Raymond Estrella or anything like that. A $20,000 knife or whatever. But I have to say that these Line 2s are just fantastic, man. Like I gotta say, like I feel like I wasted a lot of time being an everyday carry enthusiast, not being into these things, because they're just fantastic. The nitpicks that I might have with them are small and foreseeable before you even get into it, as long as you're halfway kind of understand mechanical objects. But that's basically all I really wanted to say here before we go down to the tabletop view. So yeah, let's just do it. We'll go down and take a look. Okay, so these video is just going to be some speculations, a look at these two things. Obviously, this is a small, perfect ping model, and this is for lack of a better term, standard model. Um, apologies. I do have a frog in my throat. I'll do my best to not be annoying about that. Um, but yeah, first thing I kind of wanted to say is, man, I just really don't know that it's interesting that there are these two completely different build styles going on at the same time. It really makes me wonder if this one might not be phased out and they might start favoring this one. And I'll speculate a lot about that. Again, these are both line twos. They're both exactly all the same spec size wise, except 0.2 inches shorter for the small. And then, yeah, perfect ping, standard model. And if you look at one of the best videos for just like seeing, they don't go into any details on it, but like just looking at this, and I actually screenshot every single time and zoomed in and cropped out every single time they're handling like the machined bodies, so I could take a look, as close of a look as possible, because I do have I run a machine shop all day, every day. That's what I do, is CAD CAM and machine operation. But I work in basically only titanium. I do steel and aluminum fixturing also, but the products that I make are all titanium for the most part. I have done some tool steels and probably will do just some tool steels. I should say I did purchase both of these new. I purchased this one from elighters.com and this one I want to say from lightersdirect.com. And the reason I did that is because I was able to get them for like a percentage off, 15% off, something like that. So I just pulled the trigger on those. They seem like legitimate businesses, so I did that. But looking at the Kirby Allison video, you can see, in their hands, in that guy's hands who's like in the factory, you can see him handling this one for sure, and you can see him handling this one for sure. And one of the best things that they do have on that video also is towards the end of the video, there's a time where they're in like some type of CAD CAM, programmer's space, and you can see his screen of the perfect ping model totally like blown up, where you can see every little part. And again, I screenshot that like as many times as I could, got the best images I could, and cropped them. And pretty good. That's probably one of the best pieces of information that I can see. And just like, because you can see all the parts. And I'm pretty familiar with like firearm schematics and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what's going on there. And I feel like this newest build style with the perfect ping build style, it kind of is just like an inverse of this. That older video that's on YouTube, like put out by ST Dupont, which I imagine will be removed at some point, just because I don't think either one of these are even close to that build manufacturing style where it's like brazed on parts. That is a really cool method of manufacture, but with modern CNCs and just how rigid they are, and things like through spindle coolant systems where the coolant, which is the liquid that sprays on the parts as you're cutting, is actually feeding through the end mills itself. So you're actually blasting out of the end mill. And so because of like modern techniques and ways that you can make things, that older system is pretty antiquated now. Cool, but not necessarily better. But anyway, I think this one is just no brazing, just a totally machined part where this whole body, essentially is milled out to be the tank, and then these two valves, essentially with some other, bobs and bits, they actually plug up the bottom here. There is as near as I can tell, a plug that's inside here that all these mechanisms and stuff attaches to, and that plug is screwed probably with a big bolt into the bottom, right here in the middle, and this is threaded in the inside, to receive that big bolt. And this is exactly the opposite of that. Plug here, big screw in the middle. This cover plate is just covering that. That's just a little screw to hold on this cover plate. That plug is held in place by a big bolt. You can actually see all this on that Kirby Allison video. Holding this all together in that fashion. One thing that's interesting though, in that video, it's hard to see, and even though I looked at every single one, it almost looks like this one has two chambers inside. Like there's actually a divide, part of the unibody of this thing, a block of this thing, there's a built-in, divider for some reason. That just is what it looks like. I'm not sure. But you can surely see plain as day, like a lip down here about like this far that creates the seal for that main plug. Pardon me. And then another lip where this plate sits into. And I would just say that I know a lot of people poo-poo and hate on this style of manufacturing, and it is a little bit more busy, I would say, but I don't believe it's even close to like other lighters. Even the Dunhills are like this now. The contemporary Dunhills, they look like this on the bottom. Let me take a sip of my wonderful Liquid Death, brought to you by Liquid Death. I don't know. It's neither here nor there. The one bummer is it's a little bit busier, and a little bit busier in my mind is a slash against the overall just sexiness of the design. When you're dropping $1,000 on a lighter, sure, reliability is a high. It has to be reliable, but I mean, as sexy as possible and as, for lack of a better term, complicated is appropriate, as long as if this one is way more serviceable and way more reliable, then I'd say it's worth it. Other than that, I do really love the small size. I will say that. Like, I for sure prefer, just size-wise, I for sure prefer the small size. I really like the way this thing feels in hand, in pocket, all that good stuff. I also vastly prefer the palladium. I do love the rose gold though. I on purpose was like, well, if I'm going to get another line 2, I'm going to just go ahead and get one of the gold ones. And I prefer for sure the rose gold. I just like how it's kind of a little, the rose gold just looks a little like patinaed or something like that. So I think it's really cool. It is pretty amazing how big this thing is. This thing was the first one that I got out of the box. You guys saw me unbox it if you watched that video. I just love the size of this thing. It's not too small, it's not too big. It just seems and feels perfect. Where this one is like, this is a large lighter. It just feels large to me. And I know it's not even close to like the Legrand, but it's just like, I don't have a Zippo for comparison, but it's just like, well, this thing's pretty big. All things considered, it's not too big. It doesn't bother me. Actually, I really love the way it feels in hand. Honestly, just like ergonomically, it is better than the small for me, because I have extra large hands. So this one is, I'm used to this one now, so it just is what it is. I feel 100% confident that the quote perfect ping name for these things is horse shit, for lack of a better term. It's like, yeah, does it sound pingy? Yeah, it does, but it's the cap is identical on these two things. I mean, really, it's just a different pitch, all things considered. It's not like more perfect or anything like that, or more like it doesn't ring out any better or anything like that. It just is, this one has like 0.5% more mass or something, or 0.5% less mass, so it has a different tone. But I mean, looking at these things, and again, I am a machinist, and I can measure and machine stuff way beyond the tolerances necessary to make this thing, these things. So I would say I have a keen eye for it, and it's definitely bullshit. Like the whole perfect ping, it probably is just to differentiate this, and make people swallow this a little bit more. Now, saying that, there are some just like clear improvements, on it. I would say that if you take and look at the two valves, filler valves. If I can get my freaking fingernail in there. The newer valve on the Perfect Ping just looks like not just a better valve. It just is it looks better designed. It looks like cleaner. It looks like has a longer lasting components. It just seems like a better valve. And that's just the filler valve, of course, just only talking about the filler valve there. I don't like seeing that big honking seal right there. That's just something that's going to crack and not be mucho fantastic. There's a little seal inside the other one, but it just seems better. Yeah, this just looks old school, or this looks modern, and in a good way. It looks if I can focus a little bit better. From a filling standpoint, the Perfect Ping model fills just fine with no adapter. As a matter of fact, I got like a 4-pack of various ST Dupont adapters, and I can't get any one of those. I will say I found that it is important to turn the valve all the way down. This valve feels a lot better too. This valve just feels like a Rolls Royce, where this feels like a Volvo or something like that. But yeah, this works just fine with no adapter. Where that's just me screwing up them on camera. I couldn't make it work with any of the adapters that I got in that 4-pack from Amazon. They just I mean, it's kind of spewing a little bit here, but it's only because I'm in front of the camera and I'm cramped. Not only, but that's the main reason. Where this is odd too. I feel like this, whoops, I keep knocking that over. I bet you guys are just loving that. Like, you mother, oh, Jesus. Anyway, they're tools, they're tools and they're jewels, but whatever. If it can't handle that, then it's not my shit. Anyway, sorry about the cussing. I'm trying not to cuss so much. This works better in this than this does, which is kind of annoying. But at least it does work. Oops, I didn't turn it down. I found that is important. I have not found that, like any of the other tricks, bleeding it or putting it in the fridge or any of that stuff, I have not found that those tricks actually offer or do anything. But turning these valves all the way down makes a big difference. I don't know why that is. If you guys in the comments know, I would love to be able to add that to my knowledge, which I will definitely share. Anything you guys put in the comments to share your knowledge, I will do my best to fact check and include it moving forward in any other videos that I do. So that's that. This flame adjustment valve has like a 1/8 of an inch turn, and I shit you not, this thing goes from like damn near nothing to shooting liquid fuel out to like a self-extinguishing 10-inch flame, like a rocket flame, which is kind of crazy. Where this one has a twice the range, a quarter turn, much smoother valve on it, and a much more reasonable high and low. And again, these are both contemporary models, purchased new, within the past couple weeks. They both have about the same carry. Actually, I probably have carried the standard one more. Let's get into that. Why is that? In a lot of ways, did I adjust this? In a lot of ways, I prefer this lighter, but there's a couple of things that do make me prefer this one. I can't speak to like anything like reliability, serviceability, anything like that. That's not just speculation. So I just won't really speak to too much of that. But, and I don't know if this is just a small or if this is all perfect pings. This one does not hold a spare flint. And when you go to change the flint out, this little spring housing thing that slides back to get to the changing flints, I can't get it to come off. So I can't adjust the spring tension on this. And I've found that it's really kind of, all things considered, inadequate. This one will only let you use about half the flint before this wheel just kind of doesn't make a good spark. Where this one will take that flint all the way down until it pops out the side, like till it's that small and it comes out. But I still have this one all the way down. So I love that this one holds an extra flint. And it seems to have an incomparably larger tank. I don't know about incomparably. It seems to have a much larger tank. So where this one will give me a day of, granted, playing around with it is like what I'm doing more than anything else. Take it out of my pocket, fiddling with it for a minute while I'm doing something. With both of these, this one seems to last like 2 days. This one seems to last 1 day. So I don't know if that's 100% more fuel that this holds, but I did want to show you. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, while we're talking about fuel, and I have this can here, before I forget, I gotta say that these are a scam. Either these are a scam or I got them from 2 different sellers on purpose. They feel, even when they were new, and this one I've barely even got to work at all. They feel like empty. It says 30 milliliters, which would be, probably half of the volume of this already. So, man, these are a letdown. They're super expensive, 25 to 30 bucks. Where this was way denser. I mean, obviously it's a bigger can, but still, I'm just talking about the general feel of density. This thing was like, okay, this is a full can of butane. where these were like, from the get-go, it's like, what's going on with this? Like, this thing is basically empty. So I don't know if that was the seller's shipping. They weren't sealed or anything like that, either one of them, which is a bummer. You sure would have to steal a lot of butane to make that, a real thing. Anyway, so that's a huge bummer. We're like a 3-pack of these big, whoops, boy, that one loves to get knocked over. I'll just do that. A 3-pack, I'm gonna get some comments on that. A 3-pack of these is like half the price of one of these. And I know that people are gonna say, oh, this has a filter or whatever it is and all this crap in there, whatever. I'm sure that it's fine. And $1,000 lighter better be able to handle a little bit of debris. So I just wanted to talk about that. I mean, and at the rate of having to fill this every single day, you're looking at, this red can of butane lasting like maybe 1 week. And that's just, hey, I think that's reasonable to play around with your $1,000 lighter. It's not like, oh, use it sparingly, because it's whatever. No, it's like it's a fun little piece of pocket jewelry for me. That's a functional tool as well. But yeah, so I mean, what you're supposed to spend $100 a month on fuel? That seems crazy. Or like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go on and on about that. But let's talk about that fuel tank capacity and something that's going on with that. And this is where like the trade-offs of the quote perfect ping, and just so you guys know, I should have said this right off the bat. The way to know, at least contemporary, we're right now, it's June 2025. Like I said, I mean, I can't imagine why they would stock 2 different valves for each one of these components and all kinds of other different components, plus like different programs, different tooling, all that kind of stuff. Like, why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense to make both of these. I mean, I would get it if the small had to be built like this and these were built like that, but it's not the case. This is the way perfect pings are made. It's unfortunate that, for you guys at least, that my example of a perfect ping is this small. I love the small. It's the only one I would really honestly want to have, given the trade-offs that I'm aware of. But I just wanted to show you guys something real quick here. My handy dandy espresso. Actually, I use this one for pour over coffee, but so when you turn it on, it's going to tear. And let's weigh the small first. I think you guys are going to be pretty surprised, unless you've already seen my Facebook post. 120 grams full. Okay. Take this off and weigh this one. 119 grams full. So this small line 2 weighs more than this standard line 2, even given the fact that this is a quote monoblock or whatever, maybe not like legit monoblock compared to like the top and bottom brazed on models, but that's the thing though, is these are more monoblock honestly than any of those past ones. I understand that all 3 different styles of manufacture are made from one solid block of material, but these both actually retain, the top or bottom and the other 4 sides of the cavity, where those start out. The other ones start out as a completely a tube. This one could be a tube as well, but I don't think it is. Like, looking at that Kirby Allison video, the plug, piece that all this stuff attaches to that goes in here, it does not have like a receiving threaded end for this big bolt that's in the middle under this plate. It just has the 2 screws, which you can see in a lot of disassembly videos, under this sliding mechanism here. So that leads me to believe that there's a big integral plate in the top of this tank of this thing as well. And in this one, obviously, it's in the bottom. And so, and then as well, it also does kind of look like there's like a fin of material left over of the monoblock inside of this as well. Anyway, regardless, I'm sure there's good reasons for all that. It's not like they're like, hey, let's make it with a smaller gas capability. Let's make sure it holds less fuel. They're not doing that on purpose, but just some food for thought. That smaller tank, I mean, so if this small line 2 weighs more than the standard line 2, then that means this one has a way smaller tank, and that means that if the regular size Perfect Ping line 2 is machined identical to this, which I can't imagine why it wouldn't be. I think this one's just shorter. It has a smaller tank than this as well. And I'm just so shocked that this weighs more than this. It doesn't feel like a 1 gram is not much weight. So, I mean, they feel basically, I'd say all things considered, identical. This one does feel denser, but I thought that was just because it was smaller. I didn't think it actually feels heavier, but it is. That scale is that's a baller scale, you know, the fellow pour over stuff is good stuff. I don't know, $200 scale or something like that. I also have a Buku, and this one blows that Buku out of the water for you guys interested in coffee scales. Bought the Buku for espresso and this one for pour over because I am a dipshit. But all things considered, either way you slice it, I do really like these. I'm stoked that I have both of them because I would say for me at least, without a video like this, it wouldn't have mattered. If I bought this one first, I would have been like, I really want to try that small. And if I bought this small first, I would have been like, I really want to try out that one. And I feel like for me at least, the contemporary offerings, that is the baseline for knowledge for me. I know that doesn't seem like the way it should be, but given the fact that there's all kinds of different changes, it may or may not be hard to date all those changes. The contemporary offerings would be the most solid baseline. So just in a nutshell, and to kind of wrap it up, not nutshell, long nutshell, knowing what I know, if I was to just have one of these two, and I would say even including Perfect Ping, normal size, small, I like the small so much. I guess I could say this for sure. If I wanted a standard size one, I would without a doubt choose this standard one. So in other words, not a Perfect Ping, and the best way to determine that is the model number does not start with the letter C. So that should be one of these, more integral looking ones, where if it starts with the model C, you're going to be looking at this bottom plate manufacturer where all the junk can be accessed through the bottom. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I surely can understand that it's possible that, like, if you pop this cover plate off with this little screw, you can access the big screw here, take that big bolt out, and it's big. It goes all the way, into the top. You can see it in that Kirby Allison video. Pop this plug out of the bottom. Now, just by doing those 2 screws, easy, torque screws, you maybe can now access all the inner workings of both of these valves, just like that. Boom. So that's pretty sexy. And then who knows, there might be also something else going on where it's like the valves that they're using on this just are more reliable, more serviceable, take a different gasket material, who knows. I really wish they would disclose that kind of thing, because like in 2025, that's a helpful thing to do. If they have nothing to hide and it's all upgrades except for a smaller tank, people want to know that. And so, yeah. I would say, though, if I had to choose out of these two for me, and I was just going to get one, even though I really like the small size, I still would choose this one. I would. The fit and finish seems to be better on this one, I will say. Like, there are no inconsistencies as far as like, gaps or irregularities or anything like that. It just seems perfect. Where this one, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, the top cap actually sticks out farther here, and it's actually pretty substantial. I would say that's like probably 20th of an inch difference, and I can squeeze it down where it works. You can't quite see it as much here for some reason, and I did check it with my calipers, and just to see if it was like wider over here and narrower over here, because it's odd that you can't see it or tell over here at all, but you can pretty obviously see it on this side. Yeah, it just is a misalignment in the hinge. It just is what it is. I'm not going to send it in or screw with it. Part of me feels like maybe I should, but at the same time, it is what it is. I just like the mechanism. And I expect it to be reliable. So just food for thought. This obviously has a little bit of better fit and finish than this one does. But yeah, trade-offs. Like I said, I did order a line 1. I really can't tell when that line 1 was made. It's a bummer too, because I had a filter on eBay of US sellers only. So I just was like, found one I really liked that seemed in like mint condition, good, decent price, purchased it. And then they're like, hey, this is shipping from Sri Lanka. I'm like, motherfucker. So I contacted them, and it's like, we reserve the right to, ship it in a month. I'm just like, well, this sucks. That really sucks. I'm not the person to be like, expect like great haste or anything like that, but I'm a little bit disappointed about that. But anyway, I guess I'll sign off here. I will continue learning about these things because I'm super duper interested in them. As a matter of fact, I'm even considering, a little bit of reverse engineering and see if this is something I could organize the manufacture of, because $1,000 for a brass lighter is pretty wild, where you can get, that's like a SIG P365 with the US made red dot, cost there. So it's like, wow, they're kind of leaving a lot of the, I mean, I get that it's the best lighter out there, but they're just like begging and waiting for someone else to come along and do better. So who knows? That could be a fun project. This is a really cool thing, and I really, really like these lighters. And so who knows? It could be a fun project and even a lucrative one. So, palabra tu madre. I'm sorry about my voice again, everybody, but doing my best. And questions, comments, concerns, smart remarks, please leave those below. Other than that, have a great day.